So,
in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 24, I think, of the Moon Tea podcast. We're the co-hosts, and this is Rob.
hello.
Robert Ha. Rob is a longtime friend. We went to high school together, and earlier today he texted me and he was like, "Hey, when do you get off work?" And I was like, "Oh, maybe like 3, but also, do you want to be on the podcast at 4?" And he's like, "Sure." So now he's here.
Yeah, what a story. I'm here. My name is Robert. I am honored to be on this podcast of the excellent co-host. Excuse me, I'm just a little delirious. I've only slept 6 hours and like 36 hours after a 12-hour night shift at the hospital.
No.
I haven't been able to sleep today, so I'm a little delirious. But we'll get through this. I have a lot to say. I think you guys will find interesting.
Amazing.
Perfect time to be on the podcast when you're underslept and you're about to say a bunch of things that you wish you hadn't said.
Yeah, I mean, sleep deprivation is like equivalent to like a couple beers, right? It's only be like extra honest,
Nice.
extra real, extra dark at night, you know? So what do you guys usually talk about on this podcast?
Whatever we want.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm a terrible friend and I haven't listened to a single podcast of yours.
It's okay.
I honestly don't really like podcasts too much, but I respect them.
That's
It's a
okay.
cool medium. I feel like it's like NPR's adopted child. They like set the foreground, and then now we got like the Joe Rogan experience kind of thing.
I mean, honestly, we just talk and we record it. And if people want to listen, then they listen.
Dude, did you see Joe Rogan's titties? From all the steroids he did, they're like girl nipples. They're like literally an inch long. He's doing an ice bath and there's a photo of him. So like his nipples are like diamond cutting glass, like extra thick. I was like, damn, everyone was just like, damn, bro.
This is interesting.
And then they start talking shit about him because he's 5'5", but they also like love him too. They also recognize he's kind of ridiculous. But it's okay. I mean, he's like,
Wow.
I'll just say he's an interesting dude. And kudos to him for his success, even though he's kind of gone off the rails. But anyway,
Cool.
yeah, that was my little rant about Joe Rogan. But yeah, I'm Robert. Thank you for having me on the podcast again. I guess I can talk about my experiences and like insights into healthcare. It's crazy and it's fun and it's also depressing with lots of PTSD, mild PTSD. So yeah, I'm a registered nurse. I won't say the hospital, just to be more anonymous. And then all the stories I'm saying for anyone who's like in healthcare, know that I'm like fudging details so it's not a HIPAA violation and it can't be traced back to a patient. And be like, oh my God, dude, why are you talking shit? Like, I know that dude. It's like, no, he doesn't exist. I'm changing details, or she doesn't exist.
Ooh.
But yeah,
Nice.
things are going on. Dude, it's a bummer. The new code wing. So I started in January of 2021. I thought it was going to be the tail end of the pandemic. So I still experienced COVID, but I didn't get the true brutality of it when it first started in 2020. And then no one knew anything. And like people were freaking out because like they thought it would be like, you know, aerosol HIV or something, right? We didn't freaking know. We didn't know. We had no idea. And like there was all things like SARS in the past. And I looked it up. Like SARS had like a 35% fatality rate. The only reason why it didn't spread like COVID is because like it killed people too quick before it could spread. So I guess people had some background with SARS and they mentioned it, like the like senior nurses, right? But then like this thing came and like, yeah, like 98% of people are okay, but then the 2% just get fucked hard. And like, you don't really know who that 2% is. So that's like the scary part because there's like super fit people who are ripped and then they get it and then they're trached or they die. Or there's like my grandma who is like super dementia, like nonverbal. She doesn't speak and just, you know, at a nursing home and she got COVID and she was chilling. and she's 93 years old. So that's like the crazy part, and that's why I feel all these like contributing factors to feeling all these conspiracy theories, like, or like people just downplaying it. It's like whatever. So yeah, so I got the tail end of it, and it was okay-ish, but I mean, COVID wings are very black and white. It's either just super chill and like the patient's okay, or like all of a sudden you start to see warning signs, and then they'll just die. They'll die quickly within like you'll see like the warning signs in like an hour or so, and then you'll like, if you have experience, you can start to see that okay, it's not looking good for him. So you're gonna get things ready, or they will just suddenly code and die. So that's like why it's shitty on the code floor. It on average it tends to be quieter because these are just people chilling, and you're in your like full like medical gimp suit where you have like an N95 and then another mask on, and you have a shower head cap, and then you have like the stupid PPE contact gown and a glove, and it gets freaking hot. So that's annoying. And then it's like a wing, and the whole wing is full of COVID particles. So you can't just exit and enter. You have to like do this whole disrobing thing. So it's kind of a pain in the ass, but if people don't die, it tends to be more chill. So that's kind of like the pros and cons. But I mean, but regardless though, it's still shitty. And then so seeing like the new COVID wing pop up again because people are fucking retarded, it's just depressing. And like my hospital called me today because so many nurses called off because like they're just so done with this shit. And so they're like, hey, can you come in for overtime? I was like, I didn't respond. I didn't pick up because I didn't even hear the phone call, but I saw the voicemail. And then I'm just like, I didn't even freaking sleep, dude. I like barely remember my name, let alone taking care of COVID patients. But at least we get overtime, like 50%.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, so that's a long rant.
Do you usually take the overtime offers?
These days, not really. Although I signed up to do it tomorrow.
For context, nurses in California or in general, they work 3 days a week, 12-hour shifts.
Not in
And-
general, in the US,
And
worldwide.
Rob, like once in a while, you can take an extra shift. So
Yeah, for money.
yeah,
I mean, yeah, helping people is nice, but
get
man.
paid.
yeah, dude. Like, you think people's gratitude pays my credit card bills? Hell no. But it's still great, and I appreciate their gratitude. And like, that's one of the driving factors of what makes this job so fun and nice. So people really appreciate it. But I'm also in it for money too.
How'd you get into it?
How do I get into it? My brother's a
You're an RN, right? Resident
yeah,
nurse?
registered nurse. Brother's a urologist, and my mom's a operating room nurse. So it's like my family's medical background, and then
Hmm.
graduate college, and then worked for my dad at his engineering firm because he had like a mini stroke, and so he needed help. He paid okay, but and just helping out family. But it kind of became like, oh, he wanted me to become a structural engineer, and like structural engineering is so boring, and like it just like it sucked working for him too. Like never work for an OG stubborn Korean person because they'll just milk the shit out of you and like be super like mean at times. Especially because so many old school Koreans have such poor emotional intelligence. So then there's like it's either just pleasantries or just like full on anger. There really isn't a in between. But anyway, and then so I was like, screw this. I'm going to nursing school, and then went to nursing school. It was fun, but also sucked. And got through, and then got the job, and here I am now. And it's funny too, because like they in nursing school, they never really outright said how much this job can suck. It was just kind of implied. And like the first class we took, one of the first things our teacher said was that when she first became a nurse, she was like clinically depressed for the first year. And I just attributed back then to like, oh, it probably just sucked way worse back then. And it definitely did. But like, oh, I can see why you had difficulties just like getting out of bed and showering and stuff. Not that I am clinically depressed, but like, it's like a bummer sometimes.
Why would it suck more back then?
So the culture of medicine's got a lot better over time. Used to be just like super hardcore, like military style, so that people on top of you shit on you, and then so then you get shit on, and you're like, fuck this, and so you shit on the people below you, and it's just like a stream of poop. And um, maybe
What a vivid
yeah,
metaphor.
I mean that's like a pretty ass metaphor for just like
Waterfall.
Oh
hierarchy,
my goodness.
hierarchies in general, right? Like you get shit on, and like your natural instincts are to like shit on people below you because you can, and you're
Well,
also
this episode is not a PC episode, everyone. Just a
maybe a kind
disclaimer.
of shitty person too, and you lack empathy, so you're just like, it's just like the chain of increasingly smaller monkeys. So like the top ape smacks the second biggest one. The second ape is like, fuck, I can't beat him up. So he smacks just one smaller than him and it just goes down.
Nice. Okay.
It's kind of like, I assume it's kind of like that. Like, and like nurses would bully the shit out like the new nurses, because new nurses, we don't know shit. We learned how to not kill people, but then the actual practice of nursing is quite different from like what we learned in terms of like the workflow. So it's
There's
like
different departments, right? I once dated a nurse and she did the night shifts and it was really interesting just getting an insight into that field. So did you choose or did you just get assigned to a certain floor or department or?
yeah, so oftentimes new grads have no agency and they're screwed. So they get thrown into the float pool. And float pool, you cover empty spaces where a nurse is required on all the different floors of the hospital. So you can be on a general medical surgical floor, you could be in like an oncology floor, you could be on a cardiac floor, you can be on maybe even a pediatric or like emergency department. And so you're new and you don't know anything, and then you're suddenly being thrown to all these different floors, and every floor does things differently because they have different priorities and focuses. Like they focus on the heart, so there's different procedures and order sets and like ways of doing things and blah blah blah. Or like I work on a respiratory floor, and I was lucky that they hired me directly there, so I didn't have to suffer the horrible like float pool purgatory, because I have a lot of friends at float pool, and like they say it's like, I guess, kind of interesting because you get to see all the different floors, but it sucks because you don't have a home and you don't have coworkers, and like any stressful job, like your coworkers are so important. They'll like make or break it. Like, if you have terrible coworkers, you're just gonna hate your life and
Yeah,
quit your
so
job.
true.
But yeah, my coworkers are amazing human beings.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it's so
really good.
great. Yeah, especially on night shifts, we have fewer resources, so we have to depend on each other. And then everyone's just genuinely a good person. Basically, my coworkers, and they were so helpful and nice to me, but I didn't know anything. So it was a nice experience.
So do you rotate through every X amount of months for different locations or
Oh no, so
departments? I mean?
that's float pool. I'm hired permanently on a
Oh, cool.
respiratory floor. Yeah, so I don't have to
Nice.
suffer that.
Oh, so it's called the respiratory floor. So that's why you have so much insight into the COVID type of thing, since a lot of people go on ventilators, or?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I'm on the 5th floor on the west wing, 5 West, and we're a respiratory unit. And so, I guess since we have a respiratory wing, they put the COVID wing right next to us. So
Wow.
it's okay. I mean, I'm down to work COVID. And like this time, I think it'll be better. The cases so far haven't been as severe. And I think also I just have less empathy for them because it's like, oh yeah, you're a fucking idiot. That's why you're here. So go fuck yourself.
Because they didn't get the COVID vaccine?
Yeah,
Mm.
basically.
Mm.
It's like, oh, you're a selfish person with no regard to the people around you, and you catch COVID. And like, sure, you're one of the few people who don't die, but then you spread it around to people who do can. And you don't know who's gonna be okay and then who's gonna like actually die.
Yeah.
I had a patient who's like super fit. He worked in construction. He was in his 30s and he got effed from COVID. And he's like on a permanent ventilator, a hole in his neck with
You're
a machine
kidding.
breathing him. And then he's gonna be like that for the rest of his life. And like
COVID did that?
yeah. Because like, oh, people, 99% is fine. It's like, dude, you know that 1% of the entire US population is like 4 million people?
Yeah.
That's a lot of people. And guess what? 1 million US Americans have died. Literally 1 million US citizens. That's more than the entirety of all the wars we've ever fought. And that's literally more than 3,000 9/11s, which is hilarious because that was a joke on BoJack Horseman. And he said legitimately, this is worse than 3,000 9/11s to his own like celebrity drama silliness. And then it's just hilarious that that runaway line actually fits this situation.
How many Benghazis?
Yeah, honestly, so it's just crazy. Like, it's just there's a lot of ignorance, but yeah, I mean that's just kind of how it is. So.
I feel you. One of the saddest stories that I read recently was this. It's actually pretty crazy, this story. There's a gentleman that is from the Awa tribe, in an indigenous tribe in the Amazon.
Mhm.
And so supposedly a lot of people were starting to take over the Amazon forests and poach land and put up fences and take over what the Awa tribe and other indigenous tribes had truly just been roaming and using to live off of.
Mhm.
This man one day and his 2 kids, I believe, and wife, maybe 1 kid, I can't remember, were just like doing their thing, and they might have come too close to someone's newly staked ground, and these people saw these indigenous people as barbarians, and they just shot at them. So they shot buckshot and whatnot and killed his wife, and the man got shot with buckshot in his side, and his kids got shot, and he thought he was the only survivor and ran off barely surviving, and everyone else that he thought was dead. So he ran off into the forest for the Amazon, and supposedly the story goes, and I'm quite sure it's true from the article, he lived off the land for 10 years on his own in isolation. And he survived off of everything he'd learned. And one day, 10 years later, he ends up in the backyard of a farm, and he started to use his bow and arrow, which is his main tool of choice and all he had pretty much. He started to run out of wild game. So he went to this farm and ended up shooting a pig, and the pig squealed and it ran off to the owner, and the owner came rushing out and addressed the man. And usually indigenous people like this that are on people's farms like that would get shot and killed instantly. But supposedly he was like very personable, or just had a goofy smile on his face somehow, and the owner just took him in. And so he survived that, and the owner then is like, what do I do? And there's a nonprofit organization, and I forgot the name now, but they basically are trying to fight for indigenous peoples' lands in the Amazon forest to not just get fully just destroyed and lose all of that. What happens is they went, and this person handed him over. He was transported to a village near XYZ place, and they got a translator for somebody that they thought was the tribe. And I think they're like, oh, maybe he's most likely an Awa tribe from the foundation, they could realize. And so they got a translator, and the translator's name was, I don't know. Okay, I'm not even going to make up a name. But the translator came, and right when the translator came in the door, the translator's background was they were a translator for 10 years, had grown up into one, and had been an orphan since childhood. When the orphan walked in the door, looked at the man looked at the kid, and they realized that that was his son, and the son was the translator that had survived and he had thought was dead for 10 years. And so all of that happened, and they reunited and were really happy, and they moved him to this like interim place for the Awa tribes that they had built in the forest. Mm-hmm. And only just recently, last month, or earlier this, it was the mid-July, this gentleman, we'll call him Bob for now, even though that's a very unfair name. The guy who survived all of that, COVID hit him. He had a vaccination, and he has sadly passed away. Wow. And he was in a hospital all by himself with no one, in the middle of a town that was nowhere near him. And he went through all of that survival and all of that heartache, and COVID has sadly just taken another victim.
Yeah, it's tough, honestly.
And plus 1 million more other people.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like, and then
even with a COVID vaccine too, it's sad.
Yeah, because that's someone's brother, someone's uncle, grandpa, son, or aunt, or that's someone's aunt, grandma, mother, daughter, sister. You know. It may be a million deaths, but it affects those million people's families, so it permeates throughout a lot.
Yeah, seriously.
So it's unfortunate that, like there's so much ignorance and people are like, oh, it's a fake. I'll get my information from Facebook. Fauci's Hitler, whatever, you know, just ridiculous stuff.
How does it affect you? I mean, as a nurse on the front lines, I mean, let's be very honest. I can kind of speak for John too. I'm probably pretty sure we both look at computer screens most of our days and are slightly disconnected from truly heart-wrenching things more often than not. And so as you are on the front lines in a way, do you find yourself sometimes like, how do you cope? Not cope, but how do you deal and handle with all of the mental overhead and or stress that comes with it, or insights into humanity?
I mean, I've gotten used to it's gone better over time because I've gotten more used to it. I've been, I guess, like hardened by the experiences and stuff. But yeah, it was pretty brutal. I wasn't like, it was just, yeah, it was just tough, you know. It wasn't like clinical depression where I couldn't get out of bed. It was just kind of like a mild depression. Just like, damn, it sucks seeing so much pain and suffering. Like obviously hospitals are a house of healing. Like the most 90% of people get, you know, 80, 70, 80, 80, 75% of people will go in, get their treatment, go out and go home and they're fine. And that's great. But like 25%, ooh, it's like, it's tough because you see the most brutal and painful ways of existing and like dying. It's just like insane, like the contrast between just that and like normal daily life. It's just like traffic, Starbucks, I don't know, Netflix, blah, blah. So it was a difficult transition for sure. And then I can definitely see, you can like understand why the suicide rate for nurses is so high, blah, blah, blah. Why there's a lot of burnout and stuff, because it's like, yeah, it's objectively difficult to see people that you care about, because like most, like 99% of people in healthcare are pretty empathetic, which is why we got this job in the first place, or like pursue this career. Yeah, people like you are responsible for and like care for, and then you build like an emotional bond, and like, oh my God, like you're in like the most abject, horrible pain that can exist, really. Besides like, I don't know, concentration camp or something. Like for example, like not my patient, but my friend's patient, he is like 30, I don't know, like 32. And he was born with severe cerebral palsy and like had massive seizures as a kid and baby. So his mentation just got effed. And so he has the mental status of a 2-year-old. And so, but then he's like in the 34-year-old body. And like, it's like, oh, maybe he's kind of like a toddler, curious. Like, no, it's just 24/7 wailing at the hospital. Or not like nonstop. Like they would give him drugs to calm him down. And that would kind of calm him down for a bit. But then like, then you would hear him like wailing and crying. And it's just like, oh my God, that sucks, dude. That's so unfair that life just took a giant dump on you and you were like born to suffer. Like literally your existence is just nonstop suffering. Like, okay, you get out of the hospital and then what? Like you're stuck in the bed all day and your parents have to take care of you. And like, he's like legitimately like a couple steps away from Holocaust skinny. And like, if you just lay in bed all day and then when you're really skinny too, your skin breaks down and that's how he gets all these infections. And then he has to go to the hospital, otherwise he's gonna die. And then like, blah, blah, blah. So like those patients, like, oh man, those are tough and sad because they're basically yo-yos. They like exit and then it's just inevitable that they'll come back, or like, oh man, if they're lucky, they'll have like a mercy death or something. Which sounds effed up to say, but like,
gonna ask about that, right? For that type of gentleman who's 2, is there any chance of recovery for him, or is he always going to be a 2-year-old in the brain and just?
Oh no, yeah, there's no recovery. The brain is the most complicated thing in the known universe to humans. I mean, and like we understand obviously the basic mechanics, the lobes, like, but like the vast majority of psychiatric meds we don't really know how they work exactly. All we know is that we know like a basic mechanism, like, oh, SSRIs, like the serotonin receptor
Inhibitors.
uptake inhibitors, yeah. Reuptake inhibitors. Just flood the brain with serotonin. And then statistically, it showed that their depression scores went down consistently. And then all these different trials show that their depression scores went down because, and so we think that flooding the brain with serotonin helps reduce depression. And it's shown. We don't know why that helps. We don't know how that actually processes in the brain to make you less depressed, but we see that it's helping. So I guess we'll just approve it and give it to people. And then it's okay, it's working, but we don't know how it works exactly. And so like, yeah, when you have like suffer permanent brain damage like that, you're never gonna recover. I mean, he's been like that since like he's a baby. So. But I mean, that's like an extreme example. Obviously, there aren't that many patients like that. But then I had another patient.
I am curious though, how does someone in his position pay for health insurance other than like
family, or like they apply for Medicare / Medicaid, stuff like that. Like,
because yeah, he's not working.
Yeah. So nurses actually never deal with insurance at the hospital. Doctors do, because they put in the billing and what they're going to charge services for and stuff. And like there's like specific insurance billing codes and stuff. Like for example, there's that story of a guy who got swallowed by a whale because he was diving, and then he ended up being fine. But then like they were joking, like for the people aware of like medical billing codes, it's like, what do you type in to say that the man was swallowed by a whale and spat out? It doesn't exist, right? I think I forgot what someone said, but something there's like attacked by a wild animal or something. That was like the closest one or something like that.
What?
Yeah.
How do you get out of a whale's stomach?
Oh, so he got spat out because whales have a tiny esophagus since they only eat krill. So he didn't even fit through the esophagus. And the whale was like, what the heck is this? And spat him out. And like, it really happened. You can Google it. Like, he did an AMA on Reddit. So they're like, hilarious.
Oh my goodness. I'm curious, back to the previous other patient, however, regarding mercy deaths. I don't quite know much about it, but in that situation, I mean, ethically, I guess you can go both ways. But are we even allowed to in America, other than the one where it's a very, very elderly or brain dead, breath only thing to mercy death? Like, can you do it with that guy?
Okay, so euthanasia doesn't exist in the US, to my knowledge. I think maybe Oregon has a thing where you need 2 doctors to sign off if you're like terminally ill. 2 independent doctors. They like recognize, oh, you're gonna die anyway, so we'll just give you a mercy death. They sign off, and then the doctors don't give the anesthesia, the euthanasia, but like they go somewhere and then, yeah, and then they kill themselves. So yeah, besides that, euthanasia doesn't really exist. So mercy deaths aren't really a thing.
So if you do want to die, what you're saying is you should go to Oregon.
If you're terminally, I mean, they'll only sign me if you're terminally ill. Like you have metastatic cancer all over your body and there's no chance of recovery.
Well, what if you're brain dead or have 2-year-old brain and don't have a sense of self or communication skills?
So,
how do you kill yourself? I mean, mercy death, that sounds strange.
Yeah, this is fucked up. Healthcare is super effed up, man. But it's also really good because you actually help people. Most people are okay. So it's not like all my patients are like that 2-year-old in the 34-year-old body. For him, he's screwed. There's no, you can't get killed. Unless his parents like finally just one day decide to suffocate him or something. If you're brain dead, that was like the whole Terry Schiavo thing. Like that was like such a contentious Supreme Court case. Parents want her alive. Everyone was like, she's brain dead and she's wasting a lot of money and it's not ethical to do that to her. And they fought for like, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the case went on for like 10 years or something until she finally died or something like that. But like it was a whole thing about like, oh, are we allowed to remove people off life support? Like, is it ethical? What are the paradigms? How are we gonna justify it and rule it out, whatever? I'm not an expert, but basically, to my understanding, we do electroencephalographs. just like measuring brain waves with like little electrodes on your scalp. And then a neurologist will interpret that brainwave information and then see if they're clinically brain dead. And if they're clinically brain dead, and it's been like, I think they have to like verify it too. It's not just like one random neuro doctor. It's been like fully confirmed, then I think they have to legally remove the life support.
Wow.
But I think there were cases. There was another case where they did remove it, and then the person kept breathing. So then, like, and they lived for like another couple of years or something like that.
As a vegetable or
Vegetable.
I see.
Because like basically all hardware, no software. Right?
Oh my goodness.
Like our bodies are tissue, and like the cells will keep going, but the brain is dead, so there's no consciousness. It's just tissue.
That's crazy. It'll repair itself and everything.
Yeah. The brain can't really. I mean, there's neuroplasticity where the brain adapts to brain damage and like compensates pretty well, but like the brain can't regrow itself, to my knowledge.
That makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
Goodness. That is goodness.
Yeah. So then like, so that's like the shitty part of healthcare, but the fun part is like I have amazing coworkers. Like I actually really like the job workflow. Like I don't like sitting on a chair all day. It like shatters my soul. So it's nice to be on my feet. I like that every patient's different. They always have different issues, and so you're always learning new things because medicine is insanely complicated, and there's like literally like 10 skyscrapers worth of textbooks for medicine, and like that barely scratches the surface. And if anything, modern medicine only came into being really in like the 60s. Before then, it was all like barbaric. Like, okay, I guess I can do wound changes, like, and then we'll be like, try to be clean. But before penicillin, you're just screwed. Otherwise,
Interesting. Is that like is that why modern medicine, is that the crux?
I mean, that's my opinion. Maybe I'm just talking out my ass. That's kind of my interpretation. I mean, penicillin was created in like the early or like the late 1800s when they discovered it from the fungus. But the 60s is when they started to like be more modern with like drips. I think that's when they discovered pressors, and there were more ways to actually save people instead of just like hoping they make it.
What's a pressor?
Oh, okay, sorry. So patients, you need to have a stable blood pressure, right? Because your blood feeds oxygen and nutrients to all your organs, your heart, your brain, your heart, your kidneys, your liver, etc. Right? And so if there's not enough pressure in like the pipes, then like your organs start to fail because they're not getting oxygen, nutrients, right? And so that we give them drugs at like a drip. Usually, it's like a continuous IV infusion where we're basically increasing their blood pressure. Either we make the blood vessels smaller, or we make the heart pump harder, or stuff like that, depending on like the nature of their case.
It's incredible.
So then, yeah, that's like a huge move forward, because back then, like there was like, oh well, his blood pressure is okay. Normal blood pressure is like 120/80. It's like, okay, his blood pressure is like 70. What do we do? I don't know if they had IV fluid boluses back then. I don't know when they started that, or as like a measure, basically like, oh, let's say you're bleeding out. We need to fill your blood vessels with something just to get whatever blood to the organs. So we basically just put a bunch of like salt water into your blood to create a stable blood pressure. So at least we're helping out, and we're not letting you like bleed out per se. I mean, if you're bleeding out too, it was like a huge thing. They would do like massive transfusions of blood and like these in the salt water, and like, take you to OR as fast as possible to fix the bleed and stuff.
Wow, this is crazy. Modern medicine is blowing my mind right now. Actually, I don't know much of any of it. So
yeah, and then
the fact that you can put salt water in your bloodstream to equalize pressure so circulation continues that's
oh yeah,
blowing my mind.
It's like 0.9% salt, so like 9 grams in 1,000-gram bag of water. So that's kind of like the normal salinity or osmotic pressure of blood, I think. And then now we have like neural trips where like people's thoughts can translate onto a screen. Like they did that with one patient. So that's like legitimate like beginnings of cyberpunk-ish. And plus like the whole, all like these cool new limbs, and like they have like the exoskeleton, which is not, it's still expensive, but like the fact that we have like, we can build exoskeletons for like one day for old people. It's like pretty,
What?
yeah.
I do
like-
not know of this. I'm not up to date, I guess, at all. What?
Yeah, so like, yeah, we spent like the dawn of human civilization until now, and like only in like within the past like 80 years have we made actual like significant progress to where now we can keep brain dead people alive.
Wow. And now we have, what is the Elon Musk one? Neuralink coming up.
Neuralink, yeah.
Brain electrode stimulation for X, Y, and Z.
Did you watch the presentation here?
I watched it a long time ago, and I need to rewatch it again, but it was pretty impressive. They've especially their demo video, their marketing video. I was like, whoa. And then like drill a 1-inch hole and
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, even the like the low hanging fruit is like pretty impressive. Just like for people who are disabled for whatever reason, like to have them gain control of their lens again, like that's really impactful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then kind of like the long term is like be able to download things and like not have to learn languages because you can just download it. I mean, who knows what that could be like, but
Yeah, it's an interesting time to live in.
Rob, I'm curious in terms of nursing and like now that you've been working for a while, like how do you want your career to progress, and like what are you like, how are you interested in taking that?
Oh yeah, like, oh, where do I see myself in 5 years? So the plan is go to ICU, get ICU experience, leapfrog to my mom's hospital, because my current hospital, like, it has a really good culture, but they underpay me, honestly. And then I can go to my mom. I'll try to go to my mom's ICU because she works at Cedars-Sinai. So that looks good for my resume. Get a couple more years of ICU experience, apply to grad school, hopefully get in and do that, and then become a CRNA, certified registered nurse anesthetist. So I do like easy anesthesia for patients in the surgery.
Amazing.
So like ASA1. So like very simple cases. So that's kind of the plan. So we'll see what happens. But like, yeah, I mean, even though nursing is a lot of doom and gloom, it's pretty great too. Because like you have a lot of normal patients too who are just here because I don't know, they have a bleed in their colon, so like they're losing blood, so we got to go in and fix it. Or like hemoglobin, which transports oxygen, and like just measures your blood's functional capacity to do what it does, meaning oxygenate your tissue, like is low. Like a normal hemoglobin is like 12.0, but then they'll drop to like 6, and that's like, whoa, that's okay. That's kind of dangerous because like you need blood. So they go to the hospital. So there's like normal patients like that, or like, I don't know, they fell and they broke their hip, but they're normal people who have like normal mentation. So you can have like pleasant small talk and like meet a lot of cool, nice people. And like 90% of my patients are chill, nice people. But then 10% are like, either they're just like, man, it's harsh to say, but like, yeah, man, like human garbage, or just, you know, the very broken people who are just have like severe dementia and like are just 24/7 delirious, and like they're here because the nursing home that cares for them does a terrible job, and like they come in, they're like caked in their poop, and they're super sick because they haven't been cleaned, and so they got sepsis, which is basically a bodily infection. It's kind of like the simplest way, but like actually serious, and so it needs like actual treatment with IV antibiotics or else and other necessary things, or else they'll actually get sicker and sicker and maybe even die if it's not treated. There's like patients like that, so like, oh, it sucks for them, but yeah, I know. I mean, I made like the realization that it's like it's easy to get sucked into like hospital mindset or worldview. Like my whole world is just a hospital, like this paramount suffering of just people just in agony, and there's for a good chunk of them, there's no hope for them, or they're like severe alcoholics or drug addicts, and they're just almost at death's door. It's like, oh, this sucks. But then it's like I made kind of like a realization. It's like, okay, this is just like a very small fragment of like society. Like hospital has like, I don't know how many beds my hospital has. Couple hundred, like maybe like 800 beds. That's like nothing. Society like LA has like 8 million people. So it's like, and then there's a whole world out there, dude. Normal life is people like just going to work, hanging out with their friends and family, being normal and okay, not like this craziness right here. So it's like kind of learn to not get sucked into that and just be like, oh my God, dude, there's so much pain in the world. It's like, yeah, but there is a lot of pain, but there's also way more good stuff because we don't live in a post-apocalyptic nightmare where it's a constant struggle to survive and there's no such thing as smiles anymore. You know, we live in a pretty good world. It has its problems, but it's doing okay for now.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. I think it must be so interesting having such a deep, nuanced insight into that type of, as you're saying, that insight into that world. But does it seems like it positively affects you on the things you do outside of work and the way in which you probably interact with society or do things to just in general outside of work, or
I mean, it's like a coping mechanism. I mean, it's helpful. Man, honestly, like my life outside of work is so boring. Just normal, like just hang out with my girlfriend and friends. Just find a way, let's work out.
love it.
Yeah.
Any favorite places in LA?
Right? I don't know. Like I really like Malibu. It's beautiful. Santa Monica's fun to visit. Yeah, like hiking, knocking out like Pasadena and the mountains here. It's really nice.
Love it. That's so good.
I think yeah, it's just been nice if like the nursing schools really not emphasized, but just kind of really paint a realistic picture. Because I mean, so far I'm doing okay. I actually really like my job, and that fulfills me. And it's like the best job I've ever had, despite its problems. But I think maybe some of my like friends or cohorts are like struggling more because they're not crazy like me, who enjoys like the chaos and like finds seeing. I mean, it sounds like kind of messed up, but it's like I find it kind of interesting to see these kinds of cases where it's like so wild, and it's like, whoa, it's crazy that like humans can get to this level kind of thing.
Totally.
But like normal girls, because like this is still a female-dominated field, are just like normal and they're like, oh, I just want to help people, and then they don't realize how insane bedside can be and stuff. Especially as a woman, like I'm a man and like I can generally kind of protect myself and like. But like these are like girls who are like 90 pounds, and then they have to deal with like crazy, like drunk or withdrawing from drugs, crazy people. Or like try to like grope them and like sexually assault them or hit them and stuff. And like obviously we take measures to like reduce that, but it happens a lot, man. I saw my coworker. I mean, like he was confused, so it's technically not his fault, but kind of also like fuck him anyway, because he wasn't that confused too. Like this black dude, he was in restraints, or like we were helping her out to put him in restraints because he was like attacking people. And he just straight in the bed, he straight up just like drop kicked her hard in the stomach. I was like, oh my God. And like we just slammed his like legs down and like slapped the restraints on. And I'm like, oh my God, are you okay? And she's like, oh, I'm fine. It's like, whatever. And she's like,
It's another day.
I'm like, damn, dude, like that's fucking bullshit, dude. Fuck that guy, man. Like, why? He's like, yeah, you're confused. You can hide behind that too. But like, you were just talking to me about escaping, and like, you coordinated this like very intricate plan about how to get out of here and everything. And then we're just trying to help you. But whatever, it happens. It's like he is confused. It's also kind of his fault he's confused. But whatever, shit happens. He probably had a hard life that led to these decisions to like drink heavily. His liver's messed up. his body can't detox toxins, so the toxins go to brain, and the toxins cause brain damage and cause massive confusion. That's
Oh, interesting. Oh,
happens to a lot of alcoholics, dude. Because
really?
alcoholism,
Their liver just gives up.
yeah, liver is like so important,
Oh.
detoxing and like producing proteins and stuff. And what else is do? Yeah, mostly like detox. And so like we're
Wow.
biological organisms. We metabolize food and we produce waste, and that waste has to be excreted. And then it's the liver's job to turn like toxic metabolites into less toxic stuff to be pooped out or whatever. And if it's not working, those toxins build up, and like, you know, you have your blood and they go through the blood and they go through all the parts of the body, like especially the brain. And so we call that hepatic encephalopathy. It's like confusion brought on because our liver is effed up.
That's a big word.
Yeah. It's not always, it's like 90% of the time it's because they're alcoholics. Because it's like estimated that like 10% of the US, is that like almost 40 million people have problems with drinking. Yeah. Or are basically alcoholics. So then we get a lot of alcoholic patients, and like, damn, that sucks. I feel bad for them. Just because they're just full on like addicts, and like, but now they have to pay like the consequences, because alcoholism is like one of the worst addictions. Like up there with methamphetamine addiction, because it just ruins your body. And yeah. So
Also, so many more people drink.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
it's so
easy to
shitty.
get
like-
to get lost into it.
Yeah, like because 90% of people are okay with it. Yeah, they'll like party hard in college, but then like, you know, they'll drink like a glass of wine or two as a normal adult. And then these are people who are like drink a glass of gin, like a full cup of gin every day for like 20 years. Or some of them in the notes I was reading, they said they drink a fifth of vodka every day. Holy fuck, dude.
You're kidding.
No, and like they can do it.
A fifth of vodka a day?
Yeah, dude, yeah, man, people are crazy. Like living in this, just living in general is like struggle. We all have to like struggle in our own ways and like survive life. And, like maybe we're given a shit hand, or given like super abusive, horrible drug addict parents, and then we do our best to cope with that. And then some people just don't make it; they become addicts themselves, and so that, you know, like stuff like this doesn't happen in a vacuum. So like I understand, I try to empathize to a certain degree, but it's also like their pain and suffering turns them into monsters too. And so they treat people like garbage and stuff. And so that's why they're alone, and that's why they drink more, because their life is miserable, because stuff like that. So there's like patients like that. So it's like, ugh.
Rob, we've talked a lot about working at a hospital and nurse life. Do you want to talk about your life outside of being a nurse? And
Dude, my life is so boring. Yeah, I just started working out more.
we all have boring lives. It's all good.
Yeah, man.
We're about to eat dinner after this. Maybe get some tacos.
Yeah.
Are you still working out at your mom's house?
I mostly work out at my girlfriend's apartment's gym.
Let's see.
Just doing mostly cardio.
She has like a cardio gym.
Yeah, it's like
Nice.
elliptical,
Nice.
stuff like that. What about you guys? What do you guys do outside
We
of work?
we have
Besides
a
podcasting.
Yeah, we have a podcast. We edit the podcast.
Is it really hard to edit a podcast?
Not the way that I do it. Like I slap in an intro, I put in a title,
Mhm.
and then I slap in an outro, and I add the song at the end, and then I equalize the volume,
Oh, okay, cool.
and then we release it. Like I don't go through everyone and like take out the pauses and stuff. You know, if we had an audience and we wanted to hire someone, that could make a lot of sense, but I don't have that kind of time.
That's fine. I mean, this is just a fun creative outlet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hugh makes a thumbnail because his background is in design.
Oh, very cool. Are you like a designer for STEM companies, like graphic design?
Oh yeah.
Or
no,
UI?
I'm a yeah UX UI. I'm a product designer. So
Oh, very cool. It's awesome.
yeah, it was funny. I just went the other day. I was like, in a shopping mall area. So I just walked into a sunglass place and I was like talking with the lady, just looking at some sunglasses because I don't really buy nice things, but I just like looked at them and it was fun talking with them. And they were super nerdy and we were like looking at the big screen TV and I was like, wow, there's this massive screen. And I was like looking through and I'm like, you guys know that the reason that I'm doing this is because I'm interested in their interaction because I've never used a full screen interactive display and I'm curious about their UX or the user experience. And then I was like, how can I like it would be cool if I could just have virtual reality or AR, augmented reality sunglasses for whatever brand that I'm trying on and customizing here. And they're like, oh, that would be cool. And then I saw a button. It said, you want to try them? And I was like, oh, what does this do? And I did it. And it was a direct link to my phone. And then you could use kind of like the AR features that are now prolific in like Snapchat and whatever. And I was looking at myself with the sunglasses on and it had all the 3-dimensional mesh nets like mapping to my face. And I was like, whoa, actually pretty sick. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's a cool like modern UX. Yeah, random, but that's fun.
You would you ever try the Oculus Quest 2?
I have. Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah.
If you ever get it, we should play ping pong in virtual reality.
I wish my friend, a really good friend, his company got him an Oculus, and I was like, "What?" And so we play at his place every now and then. The Beat Saber game.
I hear it's good.
So fun. Oh my god, that is a really cool game.
Boxing is a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I bet that would be really cool. You get like full cardio too.
Yeah,
just like fall over, like slam your head.
Yeah, you can draw a boundary.
Oh right. I remember your like cute thing.
Yeah, we did it at my house. I invited a few friends over, and then we projected it to the TV. And so one person would be like, da, da, da. And then we had to watch it and be like punch him in the face. Like,
get him. There it is. Dude, that's so cool. I just, there's like that new the 360 treadmill thing, basically like Ready Player One status that they're working on. I saw a commercial for it and I'm like, whoa, it was pretty rudimentary still, it looked like, but that's cool. I guess they'll make games one day that'll work.
Super cool.
Yeah.
I feel like most gamers are kind of lazy and just want to like controller on the couch kind of thing. But like it'd be super cool to have the option.
Right. Yeah, exactly. As a workout too, because I think I'm also lazy just working out. So I'm like, how do I get a cardio in? Oh yeah, let's go play a running thingy game.
That's what boxing is for me. It's it's kind of a game and it's a pretty good workout. I mean, I haven't done it in a long time, but that's the only game I used to play.
I love it.
Yeah, I don't know. Rob, what else are you into?
I mean, going on your boxing thing, it's pretty useful too. Cause like everyone, do you like ever go on like Reddit and watch like fight porn?
What's fight porn?
Basically it's just street fights of people like beating the crap out of each other. But they're always like doing like MMA stuff, you know, where they try to take him to the ground and they're just like, oh! So like definitely boxing will help a lot if you ever get into a fight.
I was thinking about doing jujitsu in New York City. I was looking at gyms. So there's a book called The Art of Learning, which was written by Josh Waitzkin, who was a chess prodigy. He co-founded a gym in New York City, and I just wanted to go there.
Is it open in COVID times?
It's open right now. In New York City, everything's open.
Okay. How do you do BJ? I guess if you're vaccinated.
Yeah, I think you have to show that you're vaccinated, and then they'll let you sign up and everything, and like enter restaurants and stuff. But yeah, I was thinking about doing it. So right now it's between jujitsu and climbing. The benefits of climbing are that I can show up whenever. There's a gym, and also they have teleservice, and then and then jujitsu on the other hand, I have to show up at a specific time. I can't, there's no like gym for me to go to, and it's twice the cost. So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, it's purely like a skill based thing.
Yeah.
So you need a teacher.
Like you need a coach, and I'm sure the coaches, like if you've opened your own gym, you're probably like renowned. You're probably good at what you're doing.
You definitely have to have placed pretty high in a tournament.
So we'll see. we'll see. I like the idea of going for like 6 months and knowing the basics of grappling, and so that I'm not a total newbie in case like I don't know, someone's just like, hey, you're Asian, and then tries to like fight me or something. I'll be like, turn back now. Like pull a Goku and be like, you're making a mistake.
Don't make me hurt you.
No, that is unlikely to happen. But yeah, we'll see. I like climbing and jujitsu seems fun, but we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. People should be careful about punching people in the face because you can kill someone like that. Like actually.
Yeah, I wonder as a nurse in the hospital how many are from like fights and just accidental curb hits from getting knocked over or something.
That's more trauma. Trauma is more of its own like separate thing. Like they're in a car accident and they're messed up or some kind of accident. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, for example, like there's like a doctor outside a hospital and some asshole was like vaping and he's like, hey, can you not vape? It's not allowed here. And then like the guy got upset and he like punched the doctor in the face. The doctor fell over, hit his head on the curve and died.
Oh,
people die all the time.
Yeah, like
do not get into fights often. That is a bad idea.
Definitely the art of self-defense. You don't want to. Yeah.
Dude, that guy probably is in jail now.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Dang.
Yeah.
Just calm down. It's just vaping, bro.
Yeah. Dude,
just vape somewhere else, man.
That one decision.
Yeah.
That one decision.
You killed a doctor. You made his family a single mom.
You have a felony. You're probably in jail for
over vaping. Like you thought you.
Yeah. Is it worth it?
You thought a quick sucker punch would like show him who's boss and like tell him like,
yeah, hey,
you're such a man.
You got to be a tough guy for for like a minute.
Bummer. It's just unfortunate all
around. It really is.
Oh, we're close to time. Rob, is there any words of wisdom or parting thoughts that you want to say to our listeners?
I mean, I kind of use this as a vent just to rant. So thank you for letting me just rant about the horrors. But I mean, healthcare isn't just horrors. It's great. I mean, like it feels so good when you like discharge a patient and you see their family and they like do a group hug. It's like they're so happy to see that he's healthy or she's healthy and going back home. It's like, yeah, man, it's like it's nice. That's an actual like fairy tale happy ending. It's cool. And there's a lot like that. So, but yeah, current state of healthcare is getting kind of rough for nurses.
What kind of person do you think is a good fit for being a nurse?
Obviously, you have to have a good heart, empathy, compassion, but you need grit. Like this is not a job for faint-hearted people. If you're gonna do bedside, it's tough. And like I had a patient like pinch me, grab me, slap me, but she's like just an old sweet lady who's really nice during the day, and then she has really bad dementia. And like oftentimes, real quick, not to quick tangent, patients with dementia, oftentimes they'll like go crazy at night, and we call it sundowning. So during the day, she's like pleasantly confused. It's like, oh my god, everyone here is so nice at this hotel. Like they're so friendly and helpful. And at night, she like literally like cusses me out. She's like, "F you, Hitler!" Like verbatim, she said that. Like, what is this, a concentration camp? Because I was just like, man, you can't leave, like for your own safety, because you're an old woman, you're gonna fall and like break your hip or something. And then she like grabbed my arms, yelling obscenities. It's like, oh, sucks. So that's why you need like grit to deal with healthcare. But it's awesome. And hopefully it works out for you. And yeah, just take care of your bodies.
You heard it here first.
Thank you guys for having me.
Hey, no, Robert, you're incredible. Thank you so much for joining us. I guess we'll do the outro and we'll do the whole 9 yards of, hey, everybody who's listening, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of the Moon Tea podcast, where you get to see Jon gesticulate in random directions and really cool people like Rob come on the show and talk about what they do best. So this is a place where we talk about craft, community, and building meaningful careers. Thanks again for tuning in, and see you next week. See ya.
you